Today I will be talking about Photoshop and some of the ideas that were covered in the textbook, Chapter 9. One of the first things I'd like you to do is reflect on the tips that you learned from Chapter 9 that you think you might use in your future career, or if you don't plan to be using Photoshop regularly in your future career, which tips did you find generally insightful? So I'm going to ask in a moment that you pause this video and take part in a discussion. You will be posting your reflections and you will be able to see what other students have posted. So it's going to be something that everyone will see. So when you log into Canvas, go to the Week 8 page and follow this link to the discussion. It will take you to this page and you can enter your reply to the discussion post. Feel free to pause the video right now and take part in that activity before we move on to Photoshop ideas. Alright, what we'll be doing today is covering some of these ideas. This particular video will mostly be working on rule of thirds and cropping, and also how to save in Photoshop. So one of the tips that I've prepared for you is this Photoshop acclimatization sheet. You can feel free to print it out or just open it. It'll be a Word document and you can take notes in it so that you can try to remember some of these tips, where to find them, what they do, and how to use them to maximize the tool in Photoshop. We've already been talking in this course about free and legal images that you can use. I thought it was very interesting that the textbook found the need to devote so much space to reminding graphic designers not to just take documents from the internet. So it is something that when I've done reading online, I will frequently see notes from people who are engaged in this kind of work in the industry, and they say, "Thanks so much for explaining this. I hadn't heard of that before," or "I guess some of the images I've been using have been illegal." So it is something that is that graphic designers who haven't had training need to know. So you're very informed about that. So for the first tip that I'm going to talk about in Photoshop today, I'm going to talk about cropping. It's a very basic tool and it comes in handy. Alright, so this is what my end result will be. And I just hit Control-Alt-Z to back out so you could see what the original image looked like before I did any kind of cropping. And that's a tip that you should remember in Photoshop. Control-Z will only take you back one step. You need to hold down Control-Alt and Z and that will take you back as many steps as you like to go. So this is our original image. And the crop tool is this one over here. And so I can select the crop tool, and you'll notice when I select it, I get these grab bars here and here at all of this on all of the sides. So these grab bars will allow me to change the size of the image. And you'll notice as soon as I move the grab bars, the rule of thirds overlay comes into play, which is a nice feature of Photoshop. So I'm going to make the change here. There are 3 tips that I want you to remember to keep in mind when you're cropping. The first one is we crop to reduce distraction. This big orange lifesaver is very distracting and doesn't go with the color scheme of the image. So we're going to crop that right out. Another tip for cropping is that you want to crop as tight as you can. So we're going to get it much closer to his face. We're also going to have to crop up above his shirt sleeve so that we don't have a strange bit of skin, so we're cropping tight here. But in addition to reducing distraction and cropping tight, we also want to make use of our rule of thirds. So I'm going to bring this down and make sure that his face is on the crossbars. I also want to keep the lay all the way in there because I like that coloring. So, alright, so this is a basic crop. And of this image, I like this one to work with. So now that I've made my choice and cropped it, I go up here to select, yes, I'm okay with this crop, and I can click this. If you want to undo your crop, this would cancel it. So this only shows up because the crop tool is is working right now. So I'm going to select yes, and there, I've got a cropped image. Okay, so if I'm happy with this image, then I can save it, and I'll show you how to save in Photoshop. So I could save, if I go down here and just click save, it's going to save it as a Photoshop file, which is handy for me if I plan to continue to work on it, but it's not very handy if I'm going to be uploading it into a brochure or some other document, which is usually why we're using Photoshop. It's usually part of a larger project. So the save as is not going to be the best option here. Instead, I come down to export, and my settings have the quick export already set as a JPEG. So I'm going to click that, and this is how I can turn my image into a JPEG. All right. So these are some of the other images I've been working with, and if I just click save, it's going to save it automatically as a PDF, or I'm sorry, as a JPEG in my folder. And now I'm ready to work on something else. So if you recall, in your textbook you learned that a PDF is a nice way to save for some situations. A JPEG is really best for saving if you plan to use the document online, and a TIFF file is best if you're going to be printing. So now I'd like you to try this, and your end result is going to be submitted on Canvas. So I'll take you back to our Canvas page, and this is your option here. You'll be following these directions to produce you'll be producing one document, one new photograph that you've cropped. And you can follow this link. When you get there, you'll have an option to open a zip drive of 10 images. All of those images are available to you, just don't use the one that I already used. They're all problematic images. So choose one of those. You can view them all, but to actually work with them, you're going to need to save that file to your own folder. Once you've saved it to your own folder, open it in Photoshop and then begin cropping it, remembering the 3 tips of cropping, our 3 goals as we're cropping an image. After you've done that, save your cropped version with a new title and save it as a JPEG. Now the next step will be to put your 2 images side by side in an InDesign file. So open an InDesign file and place 2 images side by side to show the changes that you made from the beginning to your cropped version. The next and final step would be to save this InDesign file as a PDF and then upload that PDF into Canvas. And that will be the cropping elements assignment in Canvas. And here are just the final directions for that. So you can take some time now and do that. The next video is going to walk through how to fix a washed out, seemingly useless image and make it something really neat.